Memories fade. Even in China, people under the age of 40 have no personal recollection of the Cultural Revolution. Years when the thoughts of Chairman Mao were memorized and treasured as though they were biblical revelations. Gems like this. It is necessary for young intellectuals to live and work in the countryside and to be re-educated by the poor farmers. If some German entrepreneur had opened a beer garden on the outskirts of Munich, dressed an actor up in an old SS uniform, and then had him read excerpts from Hitler's Mein Kampf into a microphone, while a couple of hundred nostalgic Germans chowed down on bratwurst and sauerbraten, if that had happened, well, it wouldn't. It couldn't. But this cheerful horde of Chinese diners is embarking on a comparable evening of entertainment. After dinner and a bracing quantity of adult beverages, this crowd of nostalgia buffs will spend the next couple of hours on hard wooden benches recalling the good old days of the Cultural Revolution. This strutting, stylized, fist-pumping, flag-waving propaganda production was the only kind of entertainment permitted in China from the mid-60s to the mid-70s. The Chinese had no choices. All the while, anyone even remotely suspected of harboring personal ambitions or dreams of prosperity was harassed and tormented, forced to wear dunce caps, driven out into the poorest, most remote corners of China. Creative thinking, ambition of any kind, was stifled, smothered. And while this dinner theater production clearly does seem to elicit some pangs of nostalgia among older members of the audience, the younger people think it's a hoot. To many Chinese these days, the Cultural Revolution is better mocked than too carefully remembered. You may back then have thought about getting rich, but you didn't dare say it out loud. Now, it's all anybody talks about. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Everyone's in competition with everybody else. The woman sitting to my immediate right, Madame He Yongzhi, is one of the top dogs in Chongqing's booming economy. Rich beyond her own wildest dreams, yet still a little nostalgic for the old days.
In those days, people's thinking was very simple and humble, too. People thought less than they do now in these complicated times. Yes, we knew very little, but that doesn't mean our lives were worse.
You can't miss Madame He's restaurant-hotel complex. It dominates the skyline of this boom town, carved into a cliff overlooking the Jialing River. Like Chongqing itself, it's not subtle. This city is all about big investment, heavy manufacturing, massive construction. Like Madame He's entertainment complex, it's all about big dreams and instant fortunes.
I am proud of being rich. I made my money through hard work. And now that I have it, I can help others become rich too.
In Mingshan, capitalism personified. He's an automobile magnate. He endured hard labor, exile to the countryside, and starvation rations during the Cultural Revolution. But when I mentioned that bizarre dinner show to him, even he seems to get a little misty-eyed. It's almost as though they miss it, as though they're nostalgic for it. Explain that to me.
First of all, life in the countryside in the old days was very hard. But at the same time, it gave us a good life experience. Secondly, today's global competition is so fierce and came so fast, it made all of us, including myself, feel such heavy pressure. When they remember the old days, although life was very harsh, it was free. They used to dance and sing all the time. With the pressure you get today, you realize life in the old days was very simple. That is why some people even cry during that show.
The best of times, the worst of times. If you've got money, you can buy almost anything. Drugs, women, just be discreet. If you're poor, there are more chances to make money than anyone can remember. It's not perfect, but it's better than before. And who's making it possible? The government. Political freedom, the right to dissent, freedom for Tibet. There are lines you don't cross. Talk about anything you like, just don't get political. Listen to the music. The singer, she's adopted a Western name, Bethany, is the featured performer here at the Cotton Club. Speaks good English, but when the conversation gets complicated, she'll answer in Chinese. What is different in the Chinese social structure, in the morality, in a city like Zhongjing that is growing so quickly?
Like any city that develops quickly, people are more or less lost in the transition. People become very shallow and curious about anything from the outside, and they often get confused. Take drugs, for example. Whenever there is a demand, there will be a supply. You can get whatever you want as long as you have money. Some rich men don't have time to look for real love, and still they need girls, so they come pick them up like fast food. And the pretty girls want a shortcut to get rich. This is why China has so many problems.